Okay, so in today's lesson, we're going to look at how we find the area of a circle. If you remember in the last lesson, we looked at how we find the circumference, so we're carrying on from that. Just before we get stuck into how we find the area, we're just going to go over some of the parts of a circle again, paying particular attention to what the diameter and the radius are. So the relationship between the diameter and the radius is that a diameter is given by 2 times the radius. So when we're asked to find the area of a circle, we use the following formula. Area is equal to pi, which is 3.14 times the radius squared. So if we're ever given a diameter, to find a radius, we simply half a diameter. Alright, so it's important to remember that for circumference, we're using diameter. For area, we're using radius. So this is the formula that we're sticking with today. A equals pi times r squared. Okay, so using that, we'll get stuck into the examples. So the first one, find the area of this given circle. So we've been given a radius. That's all we actually need. We write the formula. A equals pi times r squared. The next step is then to substitute in what we know. So A is what we're trying to find. Pi, which again I've advised you to use as 3.14 times the radius squared, 5 squared. So all I've done there is I've substituted in my values. Alright. Now using our calculator, 3.14 times 5 squared, 78.5. Okay. Now because we're working out area, it's important to remember that for area, our units is centimeters squared. Alright. So units are important. There can be a mark awarded for using the correct units. Alright. The next question, very similar. We're finding the area, only this time we've been given a diameter instead of a radius, and that's just important to keep an eye out for that. Remember, for area, we're always using radius. So if I'm given the diameter, just be careful to half this first to give us our radius. Okay, so 8 divided by 2 is 4, so the radius is 4 meters. After that, it's exactly the same as what we've done up here. A is equal to pi times r squared. A is therefore equal to, again substituting our values now, 3.14 times 4 squared. Putting that into our calculator, 3.14 times 4 squared, 50.24. And again, just being careful with our units. We were given our diameter and our radius in meters, so therefore our units for area is meters squared. Okay, one more example we'll try today, because you get the gist. It's just using the formula for pi r squared and then substituting our values. That we will look at is just where we're given a semicircle. There are other types of equations where we may be given an area and we're asked to work in reverse. Again, I'll cover those in a separate video, and I'll give you plenty of examples to try yourselves. When we're dealing with a semicircle, similar to when in the last video we were asked to work out a semicircle, the circumference or perimeter in that case, treat it like it's a full circle at first. Okay, so we can imagine if it was a full circle. There we go. Okay, that helps us to recognize that this 12 millimeters here is in fact the diameter of the overall circle. So the first thing we need to do is recognize that, again, because we're finding area, we're using radius. Therefore, if that's 12, the radius is 6 millimeters for the overall circle. After that, substitute in our values, but also remember with a semicircle, if I just use A equals pi r squared on its own, that is only giving me the full circle. I want half the circle. So if we're getting the full circle and we want half it, simply divide it by 2. So what we're actually doing is pi r squared divided by 2. Substitute in our values, so 3.14 for pi times 6 squared, all divided by 2. Putting that into our calculator, 3.14 times 6 squared gives me 113.04, and just remember to divide by 2. 56.52. So the area of this particular semicircle is 56.52 millimeters squared in this case. Okay, there are loads of different types of questions involving circles, semicircles, different fractions of a circle. I'll give you some to try here, and if there's anything you're unsure about, just ask.